All right, brother. You didn't think I was gonna let you get away with that, did you? No, 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 no. You see, I can go back and forth with you all day long if I want to. All right. Now, it's fun to poke fun at you because you think you're winning this little debate between you and I, which you haven't, by the way, because I've actually listened to that last video response you had towards me, and the fact is you didn't answer my questions, or you at least attempt to answer my questions, but you didn't quite answer the questions the way it should be answered, because there was nothing but deflection, nothing but swerving, as you want to call it, nothing but desperation, and you're trying to tie in points that have nothing to do with the question I asked you. You're bringing up fighters that have nothing to do with the question I asked you, and the question actually pertains to Charlo and Triple G. And the fact is that you bringing up at the LDBC, which has nothing to do with the question I asked you about Charlo and Triple G. You're becoming desperate, bruh. You can see it by by the signs of your face, literally. But I don't know. I guess that's an act of depression or something like that, because you can't get a general consensus to agree with you on Triple G, not fighting Charlo, whatnot, because right now you're trying to find a way whatever you can to marginalize that fight from happening at this point. Now, anyhow, there's a lot of blunders you made in this video, and there was a lot of contradictions. So I'm gonna point this out. So let's start this.
That's consistently been your problem with you and me. That's consistently been the roadblock, really, between us having any normal sort of boxing conversation.
Well, absolutely, because you're the one who started this beef between you and I a few years ago. You remember that. You called me an idiot. You called me delusional. You made you made a diss video about me where I never dissed you at all, because I didn't agree with your viewpoints on Triple G, and just like you've been doing with everyone else. Now, I will give you credit for one thing. All this year of vitriol about Triple G and you trying to defend him and all that, you've succeeded in one area. You've gotten people to dislike him. Let's be real. I don't dislike Triple G. The fact, I still give him credit for his title run at middleweight. I said he's been the best middleweight since Marvin Hagler, since Bernard Hopkins. He has. But the question is that what type of level of opposition has he fought compared to those guys and beat? The guys that he beat are nowhere on the level that the guys that Marvin Hagler and Bernard Hopkins fought. But that's besides the point. The point is that this has been a dialogue you and I have had for the last 3 years, and you just can't seem to let this go. You seem to have this cringe-worthy attitude when someone gives some type of constructive feedback about Triple G on his title run, or whether his level of opposition that he's beaten, or his, whatever the case may be. If you deem it as bit negative, then you just explode and you got a problem with it. So that's something you need to figure out. You need to get help, man, because that's a very, very severe psychological issue. I understand you relate to him as a fighter, but from a social standpoint, yeah, that's very bizarre. But anyways, that's how the beef that you and I started. Let's continue.
Because you like to attribute the fact that you think I talk about Golovkin as the best fighter, middleweight of all time, that I say all these things, that his resume is incredible, yet I've never ever said these things.
No, I never said you said that, but you did say this comment, though, which you've denied. Watch. Now, you've continued to deny that comment, or should I say, deny that you've ever made that comment, and you and once again you get exposed by the fact that you did say that. And I know you're gonna say, well, I was exaggerating. No, 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 no. You were not exaggerating. You were serious, because you didn't think I was gonna find that comment. Okay. Now, the fact is that I want to display this a little bit more on your desperation here, trying to serve away the question that I asked you, since you've been running this little vitriol campaign against Jamal Charlo on why he's not more deserving a shot than the other guys that I've asked you to explain why those guys were more deserving than Jamal Charlo at that particular time.
Right? I'm more than reasonable and rational.
No, you're not.
When it comes to Golovkin's accomplishments and his resume.
No, you're not. You're a liar, because first of all, if you're reasonable and rational, you should accept the fact that Gennady Golovkin does not have any pound-for-pound wins. I know you're going to keep bringing up the draw, which you are going to do in this video. A draw is not a win, nor is a loss, as you stated, which is true. But the fact is that he didn't win the fight against Canelo Alvarez. He may have a chance to do that in a rematch, yes, but the truth is he doesn't have a Hall of Fame win. He does not have a pound for pound win. He did not win an undisputed championship. He's been awarded 2 titles. He never won them in the ring. He has been given, well, in other words, he was given those 2 titles. He won 1 belt in the ring against David Lemieux, who's not a good fighter, and later was stripped of that title for refusing to fight his mandatory. Those are facts, right there. Now, if you're a rational fan, you would accept that as fact, but you won't do that. You get bitter, I'm not saying bitter, you get very agitated. Again, you get very cringe-worthy in a way when people like myself bring that up. So you're not being rational. In fact, you're not being reasonable when people like myself bring that up. It's an honest fact. It's not hate. It's a fact. I don't know why you keep labeling me as a hater when I bring up something like that. That is fact. It's true. That is the actual fact about Gennady Golovkin's record. Let's continue.
Right? And even what he's doing now.
What's he doing now?
Disturbs me a little.
Exactly what is he doing now? He got stripped of his IBF title, the only title that he won in his ring, and now he's getting a rematch with Canelo. Yippee! Great! Yeah, that's very, very wonderful, right? Very, very great. Okay. Let's continue.
It's when people who are pushing this whole Deontay Wilder fucking spectacle.
All right, what the fuck does Deontay Wilder have anything to do with the question I asked you? Again, pertains to Triple G and Charlo. Let's continue.
Right. And now try to twist the narrative into him being the A side. His resume being as good as Anthony Joshua's.
Okay, what the fuck? Again, what does Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua have anything to do with the question that I asked you? Again, the topic is, Sean, Triple G. What is Jermell Charlo? What the guys that I've named, okay, the list of opponents that you're going to name pretty soon, what have they done, the previous Triple G opponents, what have they done more deserving to get a shot at Triple G than Jermell Charlo? That is the topic here. What are you doing here? Stay on point, please.
These same people consistently have crapped all over Golovkin's resume forever.
Okay.
Right? Even when he does what they specifically tell him to do.
As it, what did he do?
Give him...
What? He didn't unify the division. I mean, yeah, he's gotten the unified belts, but that was when he was awarded to him. He didn't win that in the ring. People asked him to fight Billy Joe Saunders. That didn't happen. He turned down that fight. That's a fact. Yes, Billy Joe Saunders turned down the fight initially, but does not dismiss the fact that he did turn it down the second time around to pursue the Canelo fight. Yes, he did it for money reasons. Fair enough. Can't knock him for that. Was it disappointing that he turned that down for an undisputed fight for money? Yes, it is disappointing. Okay, but the fact is he hasn't pursued that fight. Yes, I also heard the news that it came out that he was going to fight Billy Joe Saunders as a contingency, which I will get into later in this video, a contingency when the Canelo fight fell through. Initially, the rematch until they finally came back to the table and agreed to the rematch for this fall. All right, so he hasn't done quite as everything as you said that the LDBC quote unquote wanted him to do. No, that he hasn't. He had, however, he's fought the best opposition that he could at middleweight, but this just goes to show how bad the middleweight division is. So that's fact. He fought in a very poor division. Yeah, you can't knock him for it. He did what he had to do, but it is what it is.
No credit whatsoever for it.
I did.
Right? And this is really what my issue was with this other particular channel.
Yeah, the boxing clinic, right?
This guy just has a negative approach towards every fighter unless they're a black American fighter.
All right, Sean, so if you want to go talk about negative approach, let's see. Negative approach, boxing's not like slavery. Okay, that's not exactly a negative approach video. Triple G hate from the cousin few. You got pictures of raccoons in the front of that thumbnail. CH, Coach Shelton Harrison. Shout out to Coach, by the way. I haven't heard from him in a while. Hating on Triple G. The 187th video. Oh, okay. 78 shows his hypocrisy. Triple G against the greats, winning. Really, against the greats. I've actually challenged you to come onto my channel and debate Hamed on that, and you won't do that, which you kind of brought up for a second. So, I wonder why. Why don't you defend Triple G's record against Hamed, against those greats? Triple G versus Wilder, legacy over money. Triple G didn't cheat. Is Wilder a coon shakes Trump's hand? I mean, why are you making a video about Wilder being a coon? That's very odd coming from a guy like you. LWC is destroying boxing. Wilder is going in adult bankruptcy. Spelled bankruptcy right. You spelled it wrong, by the way. Let me see. John Boxing's pound for pound, no Triple G. So you made a 48-minute video criticizing John Boxing for not putting Triple G in his pound for pound list. Oh boy, which you and I both know that's very subjective. Barbershop delusional conversation. So negativity, huh, Rashawn? Yeah, you criticizing people who are very negative. What do you call those thumbnails in a video title, Sean? Negative. Which you openly admit in your last videos and one of your last response towards me, you do it for for trolling. You try to troll channels so that way you can get traffic on your channel. But I have to say, it did work. It did work for you.
It's just the way it is, right? When you're dismissing a fight with Golovkin and Canelo, which is literally the biggest fight of 2018.
That's your opinion. On paper, it's a big fight. But as far as it may be the biggest fight on paper, but the fact is that have you forgotten about Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz fight? Have you forgotten about the Erislandy Lara and the Jared Hurd fight? By the way, you didn't bother doing a post-fight video on. I wonder why. Okay, so the fact is that Triple G versus Canelo, again, that's your opinion. On paper, that may be the big fight of the year, but the fact is that fight could be a letdown. It could be a letdown, so you don't know that for sure. That's just your opinion. But hey, I don't know that for sure either. But the fact is, I'm not going to sit here and say it's the biggest fight of the year. I say it's actually one of the biggest fights of the year. I won't say it's the biggest fight of the year, or the best fight of the year, I should say. The fact is, it's got work to do. I mean, it's got to find ways to overcome Hurd versus Lara. So we'll see.
Right, and trying to act as if a Charlo fight is somehow a more important fight.
I never said that. Point to a quote where I said the Charlo fight was a more important fight. All I said that Jamal Charlo deserves a shot based off the fact that he's fought in two different eliminators to be put in that position. That's all I said. Okay, if if Triple G wants to get through Canelo, so be it. Only thing I said is stop wasting his time with Canelo when he was having troubles trying to renegotiate his split and his deal with the guy for the rematch. Many people, including myself, and those who actually support your channel, shared the same sentiments about Triple G wasting his time with Canelo Alvarez. We all said that he needs to move on, but oh, no, you didn't want that. Now, the reason why you didn't want that, because you have a bad feeling about Triple G going into that Charlo fight. This is what it's all about. You're not too confident that he can win that fight if he were to be made. Now, again, I never said that fight need to be made now. So you need to point to a quote or video where I said that fight need to happen next. All I say is forget Canelo at that time. Focus, get your mandatories out the way, and fight Billy Joe Saunders. I never said that fight had to happen right away. Or, I'm sorry, I never said that fight was more important than the Canelo fight. I never said that.
A fight that means more to the game.
I never said that.
That actually would be a better fight for Golovkin's resume, right? Not just.
I didn't say it was a better fight for Golovkin's resume. I said it'd be look. First of all, if he beats Jamal Charlo, that's a damn good win on his resume. Now, I never said it'll be a better resume than him beating Canelo Alvarez if he does beat him. Never said that. Point to a quote where I said that. You're lying.
But these guys said that same thing about Derevchenko. So this has nothing to do specifically with Charlo. I never said anything necessarily derogatory towards Charlo.
No, you didn't. But what you did do is you try to marginalize him from your own perspective by going through his resume, nitpicking on what he did at 154, saying that he did nothing there. He did nothing meaningless. He did pretty much meaningless things at 154 other than winning a title, beating guys like K9 Bundrich and J. Rock Williams, this, that, and the third. Yeah, that's what you did. And this is the reason why it prompted me to ask this question towards you, which I hopefully you'll be able to answer sooner or later, because the fact is that what has Gennady Golovkin's previous opponents done to deserve more deserving a shot at the title at him than Jamal Charlo, who's actually fought his way to two different eliminators, to two different title eliminators, which ultimately were the final title eliminator with Hugo Centeno Jr. What have they done compared to what he's done that was more deserving of a shot? That's the question I have to ask you.
Actually, towards him, his brother, and Spence, I've said many positive things about potentially them taking over those divisions.
Really?
Right?
Point to a video where you said that.
So, my point was, at this point, why would Golovkin take this fight? It's not that if he was mandated that he wouldn't, but the point is he's not going to be mandated because he did take the Canelo fight. And there are bigger fights, unification fights.
Well, it's funny though because you did make a rant video about the WBC mandating the Charlo fight if he can't get the Canelo fight made, and you went and ranted about that, saying that why is the WBC getting involved, this, that, and the third. Okay, you see where I'm going with this, Sean? This is active desperation, okay? The fact is that you're very worried about Triple G because you're so desperate that he needs that big win so that way you can go and rant and rave and gloat about the fact that you see he's got a pound for pound win. He's got a Hall of Fame win. He's got a quote unquote legacy win, so that way you can use that win to tear down Hopkins or Hagler's resume, which is not going to work, my friend, because that Canelo win, if he does beat Canelo, won't come close to Marvin Hagler beating Leonard, beating Tommy Hearns. It won't come close to Marvin Hagler beating him. That's a fact. It won't come close to Bernard Hopkins beating Oscar De La Hoya. It won't come close to Bernard Hopkins beating Felix Trinidad. Plain and simple. Let's continue, shall we? Uh-oh, what did I do here?
Bigger money fights available to him. So when people...
Oh, besides that, Sean, you don't get it. People don't, fighters don't get remembered by the monies they make, because you seem to run this campaign about money matters more than just certain fights. Fighters don't get remembered by how much money or purses they made in fights. Yeah, some people may take that to account, but as far as having a Hall of Fame career, being recognized for your entire career, it doesn't, your purse doesn't it doesn't correlate into that factor, okay? When Gennady Golovkin retires, the first question that people are going to ask is, who did he fight? Who did he fight? Or who did he beat by that matter? That's the question they're going to ask. And when they look at his resume piece by piece or line by line, they're going to say, if he doesn't beat Canelo, they're going to say, well, who are these guys? And what have they done? And this is not hate, Sean, because I know you're going to call this hate. It's a fact that the guys he beat are subpar, and they're very, very, very obscure for the most part. Now, some of those guys he beat are pretty good wins, I will say that. But at the end of the day, they're not really accomplished fighters. That's a fact.
Try to push the one particular fighter they like in the division, who they pray and hope so much will take over the division to justify their biased perspective towards the game.
All right, why are you talking about? First of all, again, why are you lumping me into the LDBC? I'm not part of the LDBC, but I respect the brothers. I got no problem with them. All right. But the fact is, I don't know why you're trying to correlate me into their train of thought. We all, share different views, even though I agree with some of their views, but I disagree with some of their views as well. So it is what it is, bruh. We all have our difference of opinion. We all have our difference of critique. It's the way it is. And why are you lumping me into their train of thought?
I point that out because that's where they're coming from. Just a personal bias towards one particular fighter.
I'm still waiting for you to answer my question.
Never attempted to unify titles at 154 pounds. Never fought a legitimate top 5 fighter at 154 pounds.
Who are you talking about? Charlo? Really? Charlo? I mean, he fought J-Rock. J-Rock was legit. I mean, yes. I mean, he fought K9 Buncher, who was a champion, by the way. I know that K9 Buncher was old and over the hill. I know that. And he also fought Austin Trout. So what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? All right, are you seriously saying that here you go again trying to marginalize Jamal Charlo, okay? First of all, I need for you to answer this question. I hope you do. Hopefully you do in this video. What has fucking Gabe Rosado done at 154 for him to get a shot at Gennady Golovkin? What has Mario Yoshida done to earn a shot at 154 to earn a shot at Golovkin? What did he do at 154 to get a shot at Gennady Golovkin at 160? So let's continue.
But now somehow I'm supposed to believe that his sole intention at 160 is to fight the best. Yet throughout his career, he has never shown this kind of ambition before.
Well, neither has Rosado, neither has Yoshida, neither has Macklin, all small guys, by the way. Neither is Uma. I mean, I could go on and on and on, Sean, and yet these are the guys that you've adamantly defended as great, legitimate opponents for Gennady Golovkin. You see where I'm going with this? Again, you're not answering. You haven't answered my question. So let's hopefully you get to the point here. Why are you rambling off to the fact off topic here? Let's continue.
But lo and behold, that's changed all overnight, even when he's been in videos openly commenting about the Golovkin Canelo fight, saying that Golovkin is the number one guy at 160. He's got issues to deal with Canelo, and I will just wait my turn. That's what he said. But then people will
That's what Charles
somehow
said.
twist this narrative into Golovkin ducking him.
I never
And
said
I
that.
sit there going, can't you guys just be fair with regards to boxing? Why do you
Well, you've never been fair. You've never been fair with Rigondeaux. You've never been fair with Ward. You've never been fair with Wilder. So what are you talking about? So how in the hell are you going to have the nerve to say that these guys need to be fair with Triple G? In fact, you haven't been fair with the fighters that they have admired. Come on.
to push this kind of fucking biased narrative consistently
Like you do,
in
Sean.
every single video you put out? That's why I made a video responding to this guy. And of course, you making a response video to me, it's not a surprise, even though,
You're struggling.
this topic is obviously something you always get involved in. Whenever Golovkin's involved, you get into it. I
Why
know
not?
you were hoping I was going to try to get involved in your big debate.
Yeah. Yeah, but speaking of that debate, Sean, the fact is that I opened up that platform for anybody who's welcome to come on and defend Gennady Golovkin's record against the all-time great middleweights. Now, you and I both know that your loyal subscribers or your commenters or your friends, whoever you want to call them, are very adamant about Gennady Golovkin and his middleweight run, and they believe that he is the greatest middleweight of all time. I said, okay, prove that then. Come on to my channel. You don't debate against me. You can debate against anyone who chooses to defend those greats against Gennady Golovkin. I had many inquiries. I had Jet Boxing. I had Hamed 92. I had Black Latin Seas, Rock 89. We all know actually we wanted to debate about something else. But I have many people come on my channel who wanted to defend, who want to defend those greats against Gennady Golovkin. Many of them private message me. But how many people wanted to defend Gennady Golovkin? I'll take a guess, John. Zero. Not one person wanted to come on and defend Gennady Golovkin. I wonder why, and you didn't want to do it either. I wonder. But yeah, anyways, you were just like jabbering on about this whole LDBC that, LDBC this. Or I got it backwards, LDBC this and LDBC that. But the fact is that it has nothing to do with the question I asked you. You're rambling on about Earl Spence. You're rambling on about Terrence Crawford and this, that, and the third. But dude, you're just all over the place. Let me give you a chance to see if you're going to answer my question. But let me take this back.
Considered fighters.
Let's take it back.
Not bigger and better. We know that is the direction he's moving. So I'm more than happy to give guys a pass. The same thing happened when Wilder fought Areola or Washington.
Really? You didn't give Wilder a pass for that. You came on my video when I criticized Wilder for taking that fight, saying that nobody wanted to see that fight. That's a straight for Wilder to take it. Not in the way you said it, but you said it in the sense that this is bullshit. Why is he fighting a guy coming off a PED or drug suspension, whatnot? Okay, Areola, who's a shot fighter. I criticize him for that, but all of a sudden you saying you gave Wilder a pass for fighting it over the Povetkin fallout? Nah, you're not being accurate. You're not being honest there.
I didn't crap on those fights. I understood Areola. It was coming off of a Povetkin failed test that ruined the fight. Exactly the same as Golovkin.
Whoa, so you're finally admitting that Alexander Povetkin failed the drug test. You admit that he failed in drug test, and many Povetkin diehards, or so-called fans as I want to call it, have went out and ran this campaign that he did not fail a drug test over the Meldonian situation. But again, what does Deontay Wilder, what does Alexander Povetkin have to do with the question I asked you? This is about Triple G and Jamal Charlo. Let me give you a chance.
With Martirosyan, right? And similarly, both guys weren't looking their best and had been beaten in fights preceding. So there was not much difference, except that the hate and negativity Golovkin got was massive, whereas the pass that Wilder was given was equally as massive.
Well, first of all, I did give Golovkin a pass to fight Vanes Martirosyan. Take a look at my video. It's up. I gave him a pass for fighting that as a replacement opponent. But the problem I did have is that you and others went out and tried to propagate that Bonus Monterosian win as a good win. In fact, I felt that, despite the fact that, what, it's a replacement opponent because he's got to fight Canelo in the fall, so be it. But we and others thought that, what, you should have fought Davrachenko because that would have been a better fight at that moment. It was. But in fact, you fighting a guy who's never been a world champion, who's a small guy, by the way, who didn't really win any, many big fights, coming up in weight, never fought at that weight on world level. All of a sudden, he's a better win. He's a very good win. Are you serious? Come on, Sean. Come on. You have to admit that's a tune-up. That's a tune-up fight. That's all it was.
Right. And number two, I mean, he's not fighting pound for pound fighters. He's fighting a pound for pound fighter, which is
When you fight a pound for pound fighter more than once, that is considered fighters.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You're an educator. You know better than that. First of all, it's a simple question. What other pound for pound fighter has Gennady Golovkin fought? Take a guess. None. The only answer is Canelo Alvarez. He's only fought one pound for pound fighter. Now, the true answer to that question is he's fighting he's fighting his second pound for pound fight against that same fighter. And it's not fighters, it's 2 pound for pound fights with the same fighter. So get it right.
It's a plural. I do realize it's one particular individual, but the point is there's only 10 pound for pound top 10 fighters.
Well, that has nothing to do with the fact that you said fighters. First of all, it's 1 pound for pound fighter, and he's fought them in 2 pound for pound fights. It's very simple. It's common sense logic, Sean. Again, you're an educator. You should know better than that.
And he's fought 2 of those fights in his last 4 fights, right? That is a high level of opposition that he is facing, regardless of it being the same fighter or not, right? You can look at other top pound for pound fighters like Terence Crawford. He's never faced a pound for pound top 10 fighter.
Yes, he has. You're always Gamboa. Gamboa is actually ranked number 9th pound for pound on the Ring Magazine's list, bruh. And yes, Gamboa was undefeated, regardless if he was coming off a layoff or not. But Gamboa was a favorite to win that fight against Terence Crawford. And you and others seem to dismiss that win as a guy coming up in weight, who's been on a long layoff. Guillermo Rigondeaux wasn't quite as active, but yet you give Lomachenko full credit for that win when he actually had to come up 2 weight classes while having a fight in between. In between the weights, I should say. So, okay. Again, what does these fighters have to do with the question I asked you? But go ahead.
Lomachenko, he fought Rigo, but Rigo, yes, did come up 2 weight classes.
Yeah, you see, here you go. You're trying to swerve that. You're trying to swerve it because you're trying to make sure you didn't contradict yourself. Where you pretty much are not. You're trying to discredit Crawford's win over Gamboa because he fought a small guy coming off a layoff, and yet Lomachenko essentially did the same thing.
Is what it is, but at least he fought a guy who was pound for pound. And if things go the way they're supposed to be, he'll be fighting Mikey Garcia pretty soon as well, and there will be another pound for pound guy in his list, which is pretty impressive in such a short career so far. If you look at other guys on that list, you will see that equally, the majority of them haven't faced pound for pound fighters. Yet Golovkin can...
Let's see, Kovalev has fought 3 of them. He's fought Pascal, he's fought Hawkins, he beat both of them, but he didn't beat Andre Ward. So at least Sergey Kovalev has 2 pound for pound wins, and at least he has a Hall of Fame win, which is in Bernard Hopkins. Sergey Kovalev has better wins on his resume than Gennady Golovkin. Wins that Golovkin, I mean, that's a fact. His resume is better, but let's continue. That's besides the point.
He gets negativity thrown towards him about the opposition he's faced, right? Even though we see who he's fighting great opposition. Has he dominated and blown through them?
Nope.
No, but this is not unusual to watch high-level fighters not dominate one another, right? So I don't hold that against him, just like I wouldn't hold it against anybody else in that situation, right? When good fighters face good fighters, that's the reward in itself. As far as the result, we just have to see what happens. If we do get a spectacular victory knockout, that's sensational. But you don't expect that when guys are at this level.
Come on. He did fight him, but he didn't beat him in one of his previous fights.
What does that have to do with anything? The point was he did fight him. He didn't lose to him either.
Right.
It was a controversial decision where many people feel Golovkin won.
Well, not exactly, Sean. Now you're being dishonest there again. First of all, the many people who felt Gennady Golovkin won, who's treating that decision as if he was robbed, are fanatics like yourself, the extremists. All right? Rational people like myself or others felt that either fight man could have won that fight, and many people felt that it was a draw, like myself. Rational people, I should say. Okay? Now, let's be realistic here. Gennady Golovkin did not dominate Canelo Alvarez as many others thought he did, like yourself. He didn't dominate that fight. All right? The fact is that realistically, he was getting credit for punches that he didn't land. Thank you, CompuBox, who actually was pretty inconsistent for that fight, by the way. But the truth be told, Gennady Golovkin took more damage in that fight than Canelo Alvarez. Let's be realistic. He's the one who had to go to the hospital, not Canelo Alvarez, from my understanding. I could be wrong there. Somebody correct me on that. He's the one who had to go to the hospital, taking, due to the severe head blows that he's taken. Even though he did seem like he was okay, but needless to say, though, your brain rattles. I mean, because, I don't care how strong your chin is. I mean, the one thing I will tell you is that if you're going to take too many blows like that to your head, it's going to become very, very detrimental towards the latter stages of your life. And that's why I wonder about Golovkin is whether he's going to keep his health faculties after he retires from the ring. Because right now, he's got so much scar tissue on his face. Let's be realistic. He does. All right? So, let's continue.
And that the scoring, the judging in Vegas, which people said was going to be shit and was going to
thank you, Adley Burr.
Did exactly what people said it was going to do. I didn't harp on that, just like I don't harp on the whole PED situation.
Yeah, you did harp on Floyd on the IV scandal. Remember that?
It's part of the game, so I don't fucking worry about it. It's not an issue that I want to waste my time thinking about. Did I think it was a close fight? Yes.
Wait a minute. Hold up. The moment you said that majority of people felt that Gennady Golovkin won that fight as if he got robbed from a decision, now you're saying it's a close fight. That has nothing to do with the question I asked you, so I'm still waiting for you to answer my question, but let's continue.
I think Golovkin won? Yes. Do I think that Canelo could win the rematch? Yes. That's why it's a scintillating fight between two top pound-for-pound fighters.
Wait a minute, what's all the twitching, Sean?
People
why all the scratching in your face? I mean, come on, man, are you okay? All the twitching, all the scratching your nose, what's going on, man?
As opposed to looking for every reason
to
try to crap on them for fighting at this level, right?
I don't.
People praise Wilder for chasing after AJ, which is huge money fight. That's what it is, primarily. A huge money fight.
No, it's not just a huge money fight, but you have to also take into account there's a lot of belts on the line. There's an undisputed championship fight. Now, once that fight gets made, believe me, that is going to be severely massive. It's something we haven't seen since Evander Holyfield, who's one of my favorite fighters of all time, and Lennox Lewis, and that was it's 19 years ago to this year to date. So if we can get that fight happen sooner than later, then that would be astronomical. I have a hard time pronouncing that word. It'll be enormous, all right? So it's not just Wilder chasing the payday. It's also the fact that this is a chance for him to get a big signature win on his resume. And believe it or not, Anthony Joshua is a signature win. Now, if Anthony Joshua beats Deontay Wilder, that's an equally signature win. Believe it or not, it is. Regardless of what people say about Wilder and his record, that's still a very big win, regardless of what you think about him. But anyways, again, what do these fighters have to do with the question I asked you? I'm still waiting for you to answer my question.
Whereas Golovkin chases after Canelo, a fight that we know he's been chasing this kind of fight for a number of years, people crap on him for chasing the money, right? That's the hypocrisy you see with this group of people, particularly.
Initially, I didn't, because I actually was like, you know what, go ahead and chase Canelo. That's fine. My thing is that with Golovkin is that I felt the one thing I was kind of bothered by the fact that people were calling Canelo a coward. He was chicken. He was a pussy, this, that, and the dirt, given the fact that he did vacate his belt, which did look very bad on him. But, I say, hold the phone. This guy, I don't think Canelo is scared of Gennady Golovkin. No, he's not scared. Look who he was in the ring with, for God's sakes, okay? All right, yeah, I know he may have not been in the ring with the biggest punchers. I mean, the only biggest puncher he was in there was against James Kirkland. Well, obviously, he was a shot-ass fighter, by the way, at that shell of a shelf of a fighter. He was in there with Erislandy Lara, a guy that nobody wanted to fight. He fought Floyd Mayweather. He's fought Miguel Cotto. I mean, obviously not Miguel Cotto at his best, but a Miguel Cotto who actually regained his form after being knocked out a couple times in his career, who also suffered a couple losses himself. But the fact is, other couple losses, I should say. But the fact is that my argument at the time is, why is everybody harping on Canelo for being a pussy and a bitch? When he finally took the fight, I was like, hooray, he did it. And the fact that Gennady Golovkin was pricing himself out of the negotiations, well, very similar to what Wilder is doing, and it's very similar to what AJ is doing to each other. But it is what it is. But anyways, come on, let's try to stay on topic, Sean, because I'm waiting for you to answer my question, but I'm just only getting to the points that you're making in this video.
Who are Wilder fans, and yet kind of put this kind of reverse comment towards a Golovkin. Whereas, how can you say that? You're basically just being a hypocrite. You don't see me crapping on Wilder for chasing AJ. I understand.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You're making multiple videos slandering Wilder for chasing AJ, saying he's the one ducking, he's this, that, and the third. He's
chasing AJ.
Wait, hold up. That he's pricing himself out, this, that, and the third. But yet you're not doing the same for Anthony Joshua, who himself is not exactly pricing himself out, but he turned down his biggest payday of his career to come to the States and fight the man. You didn't make a video about that. Why? Okay. And you haven't made any videos about, well, not AJ Prince himself, but his promoter, Eddie Hearn's, making contradictions every single day, which is very difficult to keep up. But again, what does all this have to do with the question I asked you? This is about Gennady Golovkin and Jamal Charlo. Come on. And you rarely mentioned Charlo so far. Let's continue.
Why wouldn't he chase AJ? Right? Just like, why wouldn't fucking Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders, Danny Jacobs, Charlo, Andrade, fucking Derevchenko, why wouldn't they all chase fucking Canelo? They would, because that's the biggest money fight they could get.
Again, it goes back to my point, Sean. This is not about just money. It's about who you fight and what type of fighters they are. Yes, Canelo is one of them. He is a big money fight, and he's a big win. But the fact is, there's other opponents in that division who are pretty much equally or a little bit more dangerous than Canelo Alvarez. And those are pretty very good signature wins if Gennady Golovkin can get through those guys. Plain and simple. All right. So let's not pretend that you get remembered, as I mentioned earlier in this video, by the number of big fight purses that you've had. People remember fighters for the fights that they've had and who they actually fought and who they actually beat. Plain and simple.
It's the same way everybody chased Floyd, right? Nothing's different. It's the same old fucking pattern. So why would I treat somebody else differently than somebody else? I understand why people chase these fights. I would do the same thing.
But he does have another shot at him in this fall, and let's see if he does prevail. Okay, I will say that. But my thing is, dude, why are you getting upset when guys like the boxing clan doesn't want to support the Gennady Golovkin and the Canelo rematch?
Point is, I don't care if they don't want to support it. It's just the negativity they continuously push out.
Let's see. You don't care that they supported the negativity? Well, if he doesn't support it, what did you do? You went and crapped all over and made a video response. Plain and simple. That's what you did. If he does, again, you're not the the Messiah, or I'm saying Messiah. You're not the guy who has a final say of who people should support and who they should not support. You have no jurisdiction over that, okay? If people don't want to support the Gennady Golovkin and Canelo rematch, that's their fucking business. You have no right to judge them. That's them, Sean. So you have to deal with it, all right? Again, this is where your fanaticism comes into play. All right?
Acting as if some fight that's not even close to that level is far superior, and that
no one said that fight's far superior. I didn't say that, by that matter. Why are you trying to tie me into someone else's opinion? All right, I never said the Jamal Charlo's fight is more superior than the Canelo Alvarez fight. Point to a quote where I said that.
But he should support a fight like this, even though it's the hugest fight of 2018.
Well, again, that's your opinion. You don't know that for a fact. On paper, it may seem that way, but we've already had two fights that could perhaps eclipse that, which is Wilder and Ortiz and Lara versus Jared Hurd. But if you ask me, I think the Jared Hurd and Arizona Lara fight is the fight of the year so far.
A lot of these same guys, the LDBC, boycotted the first fight.
Why are you talking about the LDBC
these guys
again?
Want to pretend that they are all about boxing. And
you know what? It just showed. All right, I'll get to that later in the video.
Yet it's always this negative fucking narrative that they push when it's regarding certain fighters.
Again, what do
right?
they have to do with the
That's
question I
why I'm
ask you?
pointing that out. I'm pointing
Sean, again, what does that have to do with the question I ask you? Can we get to the question that I asked you, please?
out the hypocrisy that a guy will dick ride a Charlo, acting as if he's done everything and deserves tons of credit, as if he's really done something in the division, yet doesn't want to give legitimate guys any credit for taking on legitimate opponents.
Oh yeah, this is where the real meat comes into play.
It doesn't mean you have to like them. You don't even have to favor them. You could want fucking the other guy to win, right? But the point is, why are you acting like you're a huge boxing fan when you're dismissing the biggest fight of the year?
That's your opinion.
And basically just putting negativity all over it.
Or others, in by that matter. I mean, look, if they don't want to support the rematch, that's their business, man.
Oh yeah, let me also add something into this about your fanaticism. All right, the fact is that I remember when Low Place had made a video about the Donna Stevenson curse had derailed the Gennady Golovkin and Canelo rematch from May of this year. You went on a tirade and called him, not a real boxing fan, and you just you showed contempt when he made that video. So again, you say that you're not bothered by people not willing to support their fight, and yet you show contempt when he made a video about that.
No one died and made you the ultimate decider on what people should like or don't like when it comes to fighters, man. That's their business.
See, the funny thing is how you twist that. I never said these guys need to like Golovkin.
Yeah, you did.
Never once has that came out of my...
Yeah, you did. Sean, you just said in the video that people need to give Gennady Golovkin credit. All right? You said that we need to praise him, okay? Yes, if you want people to do that, fine. That's your way of... That's your prerogative. You feel that way, so be it. But why are you lying about it, Sean? That's just unusual. Again, realistically, people don't have to like the fighter. They don't have to like him. Plain and simple. That's their business. And yet you're so bent out of shape about it. Why you contradict yourself in this video?
I never said I don't understand why you don't like Golovkin. Never said that. Never said you had to like Golovkin. Never said that. I don't care who fucking people like.
Yeah, you do.
But the point is, if you're going to be talking about boxing, you should talk about boxing.
Yeah, you do care because, first of all, when I first had this dialogue with you 3 years ago, I never said anything disrespectful to Gennady Golovkin. I just said the truth is the truth. He doesn't just have the wins compared to those other middleweights that we were discussing, Hopkins and Hagler. What did you do? You got upset. You called me names, and this is where this beef between you and I have started. From that time and ever since. What did you do? You called me delusional, called me an idiot, and that will force me to respond towards you on many occasions. So why are you lying to people, Sean? You're lying. And you went after a guy named EK Fight News and made multiple videos disrespecting him when he's made some videos about Golovkin critiquing him.
You shouldn't be fucking praising somebody, acting as if he's done these great things, while just raining negativity towards other people who obviously are doing more, who obviously have accomplished more.
Like who?
Right? It is what it is. Are obviously ranked higher. Does that mean that Charlo and Golovkin would necessarily beat Charlo? No. And I never said that specifically he would. But the point was, these guys continuously push this, false narrative to their fans.
Like you do?
And act as if Golovkin is some duck, money chasing, terrible for the game, should give up his title.
Well, he's not a terrible fighter. No, he has done wonders for the sport of boxing. I will give him that. But he is money chasing, and he did duck a fight. He did duck his mandatory. He's also ducked Andre Ward. That's a fact. He's also ducked Arizona. That's a fact. He did. That's a fact. Now, I'm not going to say he's ducked Charlo. No. That's too soon to say. But he did definitely duck his mandatory. He refused to fight him. He refused to commit. And that's why he got stripped in the process, which we will get to later in the video.
Should just retire. That's the kind of fucking narrative they push consistently.
Well, obviously, if you look at Golovkin's last few fights, he has taken a lot of punishment, and you can't deny that fact. If you look at his face, he's got shown so many scar tissue so far. And the fact is that he's taking so much damage to the point that he's 36 years old, and he's more likely he's slowing down. It's coming to the fact that you have to worry about his health. And Golovkin himself has hinted a year ago or two, I think 2 years ago in an interview, that he's going to look to retire in 3 years. And this was 2016 when he said this. He said this in an interview. We're going off that. This is his words. We're not just saying that, Sean. This is what he said. And we're also observing the fact that he's already taking so much punishment in his career. He's up in age, and we don't think he has much time left given his fighting style. Now, if this is a Bernard Hopkins type of fighter, and yeah, that's a different story. We have a different opinion about. But the fact is, his style of fighting is a fighting that does not have a long lifespan when it comes to certain fighters. Now, there are some exceptions. Jake LaMotta, God rest his soul.
But, of course, you ignore that because you always ignore everything coming from that side of the thing.
I don't, Sean. Listen to my video. See, you're lying to people again. You're lying again. I've critiqued everyone, okay? Not everyone. I've disagreed with the people that respect me. Plain and simple. I've done many videos saying, you guys are wrong. You shouldn't say that about Anthony Joshua. Of course, if people who don't like Deontay Wilder, I'm not going to mention his name. The fact is, I'm cool. I have no problems with him. But the fact is, I'll say it, like Sporting Icons, for example, who does not like Deontay Wilder. Does not like him. But the fact is that, you know what? Sporting Icons has his opinion. So be it. I'm not going to go after him. He doesn't go after me. He lets me have my own opinion. We have that mutual respect. But the fact is that I disagree with some of the things he said. And I will mention it. Plain and simple. But I don't do it in a disrespectful way, Sean, so you're lying.
Right, which is no surprise. You're consistent. I'll give you
I am.
If people don't,
You're the one who's not being consistent like you are in this video. You've contradicted yourself so many times, but this is not over.
like a certain fighter, if they don't like a certain fight, that's their problem.
It's funny, though, because when people don't like certain fighters these guys like, the first thing they do is label those guys coons and racists.
Really? Really? Again, why are you tying me into the LDBC? I never said that. I never called anybody racist or a coon for not liking a certain fighter. Or actually, point a quote where I've said that, where I call somebody a coon or racist. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about?
And you follow up on that because the guy doesn't like Floyd Mayweather. All of a sudden, that makes him a racist.
What the fuck does Floyd Mayweather have to do with the question I asked you? This is about Gennady Golovkin and Jamal Charlo. Can we stay on topic, please? Please.
Right? But yet you sit here defending them for not needing to like other people. But the point is, primarily, that's their perspective. If you don't like the fighters they like, it's because you're a racist or you're a coon.
All right,
This
again,
these guys.
First of all, you can't point to a quote where I've said that. Again, why are you bringing up the LDBC? I have nothing to do with the LDBC or what they say.
Push consistently in their videos. But somehow you miss that.
I don't miss that.
Okay.
The fact is, I've called them. First of all, I've said that's wrong to say that. Okay. First of all, you can't always call somebody a coon or a racist because they don't like certain fighters. Okay, plain and simple. But you, on the other hand, over criticize black fighters like it's no tomorrow, and that's what you've made your channel all about. All right. You've put up various racist thumbnails since we're on that topic, and yet you want to say that, why don't you call them out? But yet you're the one who doing far worse than what they're doing, quote unquote. All right.
That's their prerogative. That's all the same thing. But dude, relax, okay? You wouldn't like it if someone tries to force you to like a fighter that you don't like or a fight that you don't like.
But then that's you spinning the truth.
No, I'm not spinning the
I've
truth.
never tried to make anybody like fighters they didn't like.
Yes, you did. Gennady Golovkin, the guy the guy that we're talking about. Yes, like you went after Low Place when he put out that video about that Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez with the Adonis Stevenson curse. You were livid when he put out a video referring to that, and you say he's not a real boxing fan. What the hell's wrong with him? That's what you said. You're lying, Sean. You continue to be in denial, and you're becoming far, far, far more erratic and desperate here in this video. You're just all over the place. I don't know where you're going with this point. I'm trying to get the answer from the question I asked you from my previous video. And so far, I'm like 48 minutes in this video right now. You have yet to get to that. So I'm still waiting.
Or even talk about fights they're not interested in talking about. No. I've never done that. That's not what my videos do. That's not what I say.
Yeah, really? Really? How can you hate on the Eddie's? How can you hate on the Zone's app, Eddie Hearn? You made that video recently. Fair enough. I don't hate on the Zone. In fact, I've actually signed up for the mailing list on it, so I'm waiting for it to come out. But again, that's just one of your hypocrisy, Sean. You have done that. You've done that on several titles.
So give me a break, bro. Seriously. Now, this thing about you going in at Jamel Charlo, the fact that you say the reason why Golovkin shouldn't fight this guy is because he has a thin resume, he hasn't done much. I get all that. Yes, Jamel Charlo, his resume is pretty small. I agree with you on that. But nonetheless, Jamel Charlo did do something that one particular mandatory did not do. And that's fight his way to get a mandatory slot, a position with the WBA, one of the sanction bodies. Jamel Charlo did that. Jamal Charlo did that. Now, I have to ask you a question.
Before you ask me a question, I've never went in on Charlo.
Yeah, you
I
did.
was going in on.
Yeah, you did. You went after his resume. You said that J. Rock Williams was not really a good win. You went after him beating K9 Bundred, who was over the hill, a champion, by the way, Austin Trout. You said, well, that guy previously lost, so that's not much of a good win. I mean, that's not much of anything. That's what you did. You went through his resume. You try to marginalize it to make it seem that he's not worthy of a shot at Golovkin, even though he has fought to become the mandatory challenger. That's what you did in your previous videos. You're lying, Sean.
Fanboys of Charlo, not Charlo himself. I pointed out the facts that he hasn't really done that much in the game. So all this praise you're throwing on the guy is a little premature.
Right, he hasn't done much, but then here we go. This is the ultimate question, so I guess we're getting there. You're going to finally answer my question.
At the same time, I also said potentially I could see him being the man at 160 and his brother at 154 and Spence at 147. And holy crap, how would that be for Texas? Right? So I see the possibility that these guys could take over the game. And I'm not hating them for it at all. But the point is, when you act as if Golovkin has to fight him now,
I didn't say that.
Next.
Again, John, point to a quote and point to a video where I said that he has to fight him next. I never said that. You're lying. I never said that.
I'm just pointing out the reality.
All I said was that forget about Canelo, move on to something else, because many others, including myself, believe that rematch was not going to happen based off the negotiations was going, south in certain ways. Okay, I said forget about Canelo Alvarez, go after Billy Joe Saunders, then take on Charlo, vice versa. Doesn't matter. All I said, stop wasting your time with him. But when the fight finally got announced, I said, okay, let it be. It's cool. Let it be. Okay. But again, let's see what happens. But I never said that Gennady Golovkin has to pull out of the Charlo fight. Where did I say that fight had to happen next between Charlo and Golovkin?
The situation. He doesn't need to. There's bigger and better opportunities available. It's like John Boxing today.
You're twitching a lot. What's wrong with you?
Justify the fact that DeGale should fight Plant, right? And that, this is a fight he should take. But why not? A fight he should take?
Why not?
Who the fuck is Plant?
All right, okay, again, Sean, you're drifting off the topic again. Well, why are you bringing up all these other fighters? Caleb Plant, James DeGale, Terrence Crawford, Guillermo Rigondeaux, Vasyl Lomachenko, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. I mean, why are you bringing up all these other fighters? I mean, you're losing the point here. I don't know. I'm getting confused here. Can you please answer my question? All right. Now, since you mentioned Caleb Plant and James DeGale, first of all, Caleb Plant is a legit fighter at 168. And yes, DeGale vacated his belt because he didn't want to face the idea that he has to face Yus Kataki or Caleb Plant. Again, it goes back to the fact this is not always about money. It's all about the fighters that you have fought. Now, James DeGale, that's more of an exception because he's had a very tough career, even early on in his career, starting with the George Groves fight, which was a very good high-level, domestic-level fight, which they both later became world champions and turned out to be good on world level. Very good fighters on world level. Yeah, he's somewhat under that James DeGale's at the end of it, but that's another topic, another video, I should say, but which I've already addressed. But the fact is, again, let's stay on topic, please. Please, can you answer my question?
He knows who Plant is. He's never done anything. He doesn't have a title. He's not the mandatory fight. So why would he fight him? What's his motivation to fight this guy? Just because this guy tried to embarrass him at a press conference? The point is, DeGale has huge opportunities ahead of him. And obviously, him and his team are going to chase those.
Well, I mean, he's probably only got a couple of them. I mean, Eubank and Saunders, which was rumored, but I don't think that's going to happen. But Eubank seems more realistic. But James DeGale is more likely at the end of his career. But again, please, can we stop talking about James DeGale? Let's get back to Charlo and Golovkin, please.
Opposed to Plant, we understand why Plant's pushing, because he's trying to get involved in that whole scenario, the same way Thurman did with the 160. None. Golovkin whoever. If the organization deems that he's the mandatory and forces that fight, I have no problem with it. But the point is to act as
Really? You did have a problem with him trying to mandate that fight if he doesn't make the deal with Canelo. You had a problem with the WBC getting involved in that. You made a rant video going after them for mailing in that situation. So that's a bit of a half truth there that you told there, Sean, or a half lie.
There's not bigger and better opportunities available. It is being false. It is pushing false news, fake news.
Like you're doing here.
Bigger and better opportunities for Golovkin. He's put in his work, and after a Canelo fight, there's 2 potential unification fights for him, as well as big money fights. So how does Charlo jump past any of those fights?
I never said Charlo has to jump past them. All right, I don't know what are you talking about. Point to where I said that Charlo has to pass those unification fights. Okay. Now, the only argument that I've made, and I'm going to have to repeat myself, is that you cannot marginalize Jamal Charlo just because he has a thin resume, okay? The fact is that he's fought 2 different title eliminators, 1 final eliminator, which includes Hugo Centennial Jr., who he knocked out in spectacular fashion. He has earned his right to get his shot. He is a mandatory, okay? He's earned his right. He's fought for that position. That's what the argument's about. I never said that he should leapfrog anyone else. Again, point to where I've said a comment where I've said that, or a video where I've said he should leapfrog.
He doesn't. Does that mean he's not better than any of those fighters? No. But this is the circumstance. This is the same situation Golovkin found himself in when he was trying to get a Sergio Martinez fight, when he was trying to get a Carl Froch fight, when he was trying to get a Miguel Cotto fight, when he was trying to get a Canelo Alvarez fight. He found himself in a similar circumstance, wanting the big fights, but not being the best.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, you're trying to not say the word that they ducked him. You're not trying to say it, but go ahead.
Option available. So he wasn't the option that was chased after. So why was it?
Of course he wasn't the option, because he was not a big money fight, as you say, quote unquote. But yeah, you didn't want to accept that argument back then. So let's continue.
But all of a sudden now, it shouldn't be like that. This is bullshit. This is fucking racist. This is crap. This is shit. Right? The kind of narrative that some people like to push towards this.
I never said that.
Scenario.
I never did that.
Okay, ask your questions. Go.
You going into Jamal Charlo, given the fact that you felt that he hasn't really done much to earn a shot at Golovkin at this point. Okay, fair enough. That's your prerogative. But I want you to answer this question. I hope I get a response.
You're doing a lot of twitching.
Which I think I will. What has Dominic Wade done to earn a shot at Gennady Golovkin?
It took you a minute to answer that, but go ahead.
See, it's funny that you do this, because that's typical of what these kind of people that hate on Golovkin consistently do. These are the same guys that have no problem, of course, Spence fighting Ocampo.
Get to the question, please. Get to the answer.
You said anything negative about that fight.
Again, what does Carlos Ocampo have to do with Dominic Wade? The question I ask you. Get to the question. I need an answer, please.
Right? They would call you a racist and a coon, and they'd shit all over you. Yet these same people had no problem pulling out the Dominic Wade fucking card. Golovkin was mandated to fight his mandatory. It was supposed to be not him, but the other guy who got hurt, the Bermudian.
All right, that's not the question I asked you, Sean. Again, it's not about how Dominic Wade got the fight. The question I asked you is, what did he do that was more deserving for him to get that fight than Jamal Charlo? Remember, it was you in prior videos a couple years ago who legitimized Dominic Wade as a solid contender, a viable opponent for Gennady Golovkin. That's what you did. You made multiple videos trying to propagate this guy, where many people like myself were very skeptical about him being a mandatory because he didn't fight to get in a final eliminator to get in that position. The IBF had to go down the list, so they put him there because of the fact that Toriano Johnson pulled out of an injury. I felt that guy was not ready for that fight, given the fact that he went life or death against a certain individual that you named in this video, which I'll let you name. But the fact is, I was very skeptical. So, again, I need you to answer the question, sir.
Fighter. Johnson, right? I think his name is.
Yeah, Toriano Johnson.
But then Johnson got hurt, so they went down the rankings to the next available opponent, which was Dominic Wade, who was coming off of the biggest win of his career.
Again, Sean, I didn't ask you how he got the shot. I asked you, what did he do to get that shot more deserving than Jamal Charlo, who, by the way, is a mandatory? See what the question? This is a parallel with the question here. They're both mandatories. So what did Dominic Wade do that was more accomplished than Jamal Charlo to get the shot? What did he do that was more deserving, I should say?
Against an older fighter, but a guy who has a big name and a good resume. So they fought.
Sam Solomon. Okay. Now, Dominic Wade went life or death against that guy, a fight that many people felt that he lost. Guess who actually knocked out Sam Solomon? Sergey Davchenko. He knocked him out in 2 rounds. Wow. To say, Davchenko, that you went out and said that Golovkin did not need to fight. The fight that the IBF had mandated him to do. Either you fight that guy or you're going to get stripped. But let's get to Sergey Davchenko later.
Nobody praised Golovkin for doing his mandatory. Nobody acted as if he was pound for pound #1 in the world.
Look, first of all, I didn't blame Gennady Golovkin for fighting Dominic Wade. It was his mandatory. He had to do what he had to do to get him out the way. He fight him or he was going to get stripped. Plain and simple. But the fact is that mandatory was proven to be not credible, not legit based off that performance. It was just a disappointing fight. Let's be honest. Dominic Wade was not a very credible opponent. He was not a legit mandatory, plain and simple. But a mandatory is a mandatory. Golovkin had to do what he had to do to get him out the way to keep his belt. I wish he had had that same perspective with Davchenko, which I wonder why he didn't. So let's continue.
Because he beat his mandatory. The only thing that really came from him fighting this guy was a bunch of negativity from...
So let me get this straight. I think you kind of answered the question. So Dominic Wade is more deserving of a shot at Gennady Golovkin as a mandatory than Jamal Charlo because he beat Sam Solomon? Are you fucking kidding? Yeah, again, the same Sam Solomon that pretty much was a one-legged dude against Jermaine Taylor. The same guy that Dominic Wade, again, went life or death against it. And people felt that he lost that fight. But let's continue.
People who were anti-Golovkin.
A guy who was never a champion. Get the fuck out of here. Are you telling me that guy was more deserving of a shot at Golovkin as a mandatory than Charlo based off that? Are you serious?
Who used this as a way to shit on him and criticize him because of this opponent he fought. Yet Charlo fights an opponent who is also a Golovkin-mandated fighter, who Golovkin couldn't fight because he would have got the same kind of criticism and negativity thrown at him if he did fight Patrick Hyland.
No, he wouldn't. I mean, the fact is, a mandatory is a mandatory. If Patrick Hyland had beaten Charlo or beaten anybody else in the final eliminator, he is the mandatory. All right, some people will say, well, this guy's not no good. Okay, fine, so be it. But the fact is, me personally, I don't know why you're saying they, as if you're trying to correlate me into their opinion. But the fact is that me, if you fight for a mandatory position, fine, you're the mandatory. But the fact is, I will critique whether I think you're ready for that fight or not. I can't knock you for becoming a mandatory fight to get in that position. Okay? The one thing I would have concerns about you being installed as a mandatory, although you never fought in that position. That's one concern I would have.
So he didn't fight him. Charlo fought him and ended up earning a shot with Golovkin, even though it's against a guy that Golovkin could never have fought because he would have been fucking attacked like rabid dogs.
That's your opinion. You don't know that for sure. That's your opinion.
By Deontay Wilder fans and Golovkin haters, right? That's the fact.
You're
the
not
reality.
You didn't really quite answer the question about Dominic Wade. You tried to by mentioning Sam Solomon. Okay, let me see if you're actually going to try to really answer it.
That was enough. You know, people praised Charlo for doing that, for beating this guy who you know, obviously was injured and should never have even been in the ring. Right? That's the reality. Nobody's praising Golovkin for fighting his mandatory. It's something you have to do, just like Spence had to do, right? Just like AJ has to do against Povetkin. Just like fucking people always have to do when it comes towards their mandatory.
All right. Sean, hold up, Sean. Again, I'm trying to get a straight answer for you. What did Dominic Wade do that was far more deserving at getting a shot at Gennady Golovkin than Charlo? What did he do that was far more greater than what Charlo did to get the shot as a mandatory? It's a simple question. But again, you're rambling all over the place. The only thing you could come up with is a Sam Solomon victory? Are you fucking kidding me? Come on, man.
Opponent, like a Charlo. Other times, it's an unproven guy who, you know, doesn't have a lot of big support behind him. Like?
Yeah, so is Dominic Wade.
A Wade. It's unfortunate that Wade got thrown in jail after that fight because potentially we could have seen him actually show that he deserved that fight by actually going in and doing something positive and winning a few fights after that. But because, of course, he got thrown in jail and hasn't fought since, we haven't got an opportunity to do that. So it's easy now to be critical of Dominic Wade, even though potentially he could have went on to do big things.
Well, the fact is that he's no longer doing big things. He fucked up his whole career due to his personal issues, and that's on him. The fact is, Sean, it goes back to the point that you legitimized him as a credible mandatory while you're trying to you're trying to marginalize Jamal Charlo as not being as legit as Wade at this moment. Other words, a fight that needs to happen at this moment. I mean, you're all over the place, man. I mean, seriously, I can't believe that you're gonna just say that Sam Solomon was the reason why Dominic Wade was more deserving of a shot than Jamal Charlo. In fact, again, he went life to death with that man who's way over the hill, who was shot.
After that, I mean, you look at guys like Rubio, Martin.
All right, get to the point, man. I got much time
fights
left.
Against Golovkin and had big fights at bigger divisions, and until he fought Groves and got.
Kell Brook done a welterweight, jumped up 2 weight classes to get a shot at Gennady Golovkin. What is?
See, when you say this, you're basically just being really negative and hateful.
No, I'm not.
Because you and I both know why Golovkin fought Kell Brook.
Yeah.
That was never the intended fight that was scheduled.
No. That I have no reason to believe that. Let me tell you why. Okay, yes, the Eubank fight was talked about, but you are omitting information, and let me tell you why. Gennady Golovkin, when Kell Brook called out Gennady Golovkin and he wanted that fight at catchweight, and yes, their interview is up. It was an IFL interview. Take a look at it. I think Kell Brook was at an airport terminal sitting down, and he mentioned that he wanted to fight Gennady Golovkin. He wanted him at 157. As soon as Kell Brook said that in the IFL interview, Tom Loeffner and Eddie Hearn were starting to discuss the fight. Yes, Loeffner's team reached out to Hearn and talked about the fight and the possibility of fighting Kell Brook because Kell Brook was actually serious. And Eddie Hearn said, yeah, he's actually serious about the fight. I mean, we want to do it at a catchweight. And Loeffner said, well, I got to get back to you on that one. So I'm not sure if Gennady wanted to do a catchweight 157, which I find very hypocritical on their part because they wanted to go down for Mayweather and Pacquiao at 154 and Cotto at 155, but not Kell Brook at 157. Yeah, the article is up there, Sean, and yes, that interview is out there too, where Kell Brook did call him out. And the fact is that conversation did happen. And the fact is that when Eubank dropped out, 24 hours later, Kell Brook was named the replacement opponent somehow, quote unquote, in 24 hours on a 10-week training camp. That's bizarre. That was a contingency fight. That deal was already made. That was a contingency just in case that Eubank dropped out. Plain and simple. And plus, again, it was a 10-week training camp, so I don't believe it for a second that was not the intended fight they were looking for, because they actually were talking about that fight before it actually got announced.
Was intended to fight Chris Eubank Jr.
Okay, so again, it goes back to your point. So basically, based off that situation, Kell Brook was more deserving of a shot than Jamal Charlo. Is that what you're saying? You gotta do better. If that's the best you got, Sean, then I don't know what else to tell you.
A top 5 middleweight, right, at that time. A guy that people were thinking was one of the best middleweights in the game.
Yep, I thought so too.
And it since went on to 168, won a title, looked really good.
Yeah, a minor title, not a legit title.
Until he fought Groves and got schooled. But prior to his fight with Groves, people were thinking he was the real deal. He was walking through dudes, right, looking explosive, looking great. That was who he was supposed to fight. That was the fight that was being worked on. And to know nothing to do with Golovkin, it had to do with Eubank's own team, who ended up trying to find an alternative so that they would still be able to get part of the money that they were fucking going to get in that fight by setting it up, by having it in the UK, Eddie Hearn. So Hearn found a replacement fight, and that was obviously with one of his fighters, and that was Kell Brook, an undefeated world champion welterweight. Right? But we know that wasn't the opponent they were chasing.
Yeah, they were.
They made the best.
They were chasing that opponent. The fact is that Kell Brook was the contingency in case that Eubank was going to fall out. Again, go back to the interview with the IFL interview, and there's an article on Boxing Scene where they actually had that conversation of making that fight, of trying to seal the deal on that fight before the Eubank fight was talked about.
Out of a bad situation.
But again, does that mean that based off this, that Kell Brook was more deserving of a shot than Jamal Charlo at that point? Is that what you're saying?
Golovkin also
That's what you're
doesn't
saying.
get any credit for that either. Even though you and I both know it's not strange to see welterweight world champions move up to fight middleweight world.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, Sean. Again, in the beginning of this video, you starting to use my talking point to defend Golovkin fighting Kell Brook, because before that, you didn't. When I told you that was what I told you when I said that. Wait, even though Hopkins and Hagler's greatest wins are against great small men or welterweights, great welterweights, and you already know the names, the fact is that those are very great wins. Those are not ordinary small men, and yet you try to dismiss that as if Golovkin is doing better than what they did fighting naturally bigger men. All right. Never, Golovkin will never fight a small guy, which that's a lie. He has fought small men, not great small men, but the fact is he's been chasing small men for years. But yet when he finally made that fight with Kell Brook, you just conveniently used my talking point to defend that fight. Wow. And you also compare Kell Brook fighting Gennady Golovkin as is Marlon Starling moving up to fight Michael Nunn. Yeah, remember that little debate we had together on that hangout years ago? Remember that? Kell Brook being compared to Marlon Starling? Are you fucking kidding me? Okay.
Champions through the history of boxing. It's normal. So
Yeah.
Golovkin didn't do anything all-time greats haven't done.
Well, he didn't, but he did say one thing, though, and I'll bring up that radio interview. He did criticize Canelo Alvarez for fighting Khan, a small man. And this is his words, quote, That's I won't do that. That's disgraceful. You know, you're disrespecting the weight classes. I won't do nothing like that. That's a business move. I will never fight a small man, which is a lie. He was trying to fight small men in his career, Mayweather and Pacquiao. But when he fought Brook, it made him look like a total hypocrite. Yeah, there were some differences about the catch weights and this, that, and the third, which Canelo used against Khan. But the fact is that he went out there and criticized his rival for fighting a small man, dragging him up to middleweight, while he did the same thing to Kell Brook. That's why he got ridiculed for being a hypocrite, because he said that he wouldn't do that, and he did it. All right.
Whether you're talking about Bernard Hopkins, Marvin Hagler, Monzon.
Yeah, but they were openly they came out and said that they wanted to fight small guys. I mean, Hagler was calling out Leonard for 5 years, but okay. And Hopkins was calling out small men like Trinidad and De La Hoya when he beat those two. Then he's calling out Mosley. He wanted Mayorga at that time. He wanted Winky Wright, which he ultimately beat as well. So they weren't afraid to do publicly, but it seems like Golovkin seems to want to sidestep the issue sometimes. I don't know.
Everybody's fought guys coming up from welterweight.
Let's get forward.
That wasn't what was being worked out.
Yes, it was.
So
behind the scenes, it was.
Why would I crap on the guy for that? When Golovkin fought these guys, he was unknown in.
Went on with 2 straight losses before he got shot at Golovkin.
This was also in a Shellbrook, even though you and I both know that's not the situation.
It was
not what was intended.
It was.
That wasn't what was being worked out.
As a contingency, it was.
So,
it was a contingency plan.
Why would I crap on the guy for that? Right? Why? Why would I?
Those fighters done. Or better yet, what has Norita Yoshida done to earn a shot? By the way, that guy was coming off with 2 straight losses before he got shot at Golovkin.
This was also in Ishida that knocked out a guy that lots of people in the States loved in Kirkland.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Back up. So Norita Yoshida, who got a title shot at Gennady Golovkin, the quote-unquote regular legit title, coming off 2 straight losses, going up in middleweight to fight the guy, he was more worthy a shot at the title than at Gennady Golovkin than Jamal Charlo, based off the fact that he beat James Kirkland. What the fuck? Oh my fucking goodness. Are you kidding me? Okay. Oh boy, you outdid yourself with that response. Oh shit, let's continue.
Nobody fucking praised Golovkin for beating Ishida. When Golovkin
you did. You legitimized that win. What are you talking about?
These guys, he was unknown in the U.S.
Don't matter. You legitimized that win, Sean. You legitimized that win as a good win for Golovkin while he was coming up. You did.
He was fighting 4 times a year. When you're fighting 4 times a year, you're not going to be fighting the best opposition fight in and fight out. You and I.
Really? So if you fight more than 4 times a year, then you don't deserve to be ridiculed. Well, you know what? Then you need to give Deontay Wilder a pass for that, because he was fighting almost 4 or 5, 10 times, 6 times a year, while moving up the ranks and piling on those wins on his record, which it is subject to criticism and ridicule, which I can understand. But yet, if you're gonna give Golovkin a pass for doing that, you got to do the same for Wilder. Anyways, Wilder's not the discussion here.
So let's be honest. Let's not try to fucking shit on Golovkin because he had a few guys on his resume that were less than stellar.
Well, it's not a few guys, okay? He's got more than a lot of guys, more than just a few guys that are less than stellar. Let's see. Let's go down the list. Nelson Newton-Tapia, Milton Nunez, Lawan Simon, Kasi Uma, who was okay fighter at the time at light middleweight, but that wasn't really a stellar fighter afterwards. Makato Fujigami, Graça Prescott, Gay Rosado, Macklin, Stevens, Rubio, Murray, even though he's a good fighter, but he's not a stellar fighter. Monroe Jr., Lemieux, Martirosyan, Brooke. I mean, I don't know sure about Brooke being stellar at this point, but it is what it is. So, okay, yeah, he's had more than just a few guys who are that he fought that are less than stellar. So, stop lying.
Everybody in history of boxing has had names that were less than stellar on their resume.
Of course.
It's not a fucking surprise.
Of course it is a surprise.
He fought a guy who had a huge win, though, against Kirkland.
So that... So James Kirkland is the reason why Norby Yoshida was more legit at getting a shot to Golovkin than Jamal Charlo. Oh, shit.
So it's not like he was looking like a bum. This is a guy who had a significant win on...
Yeah, he was a bum, though. Let's not get it twisted. Yoshida is not a good fighter. No disrespect to him, but he's not a good fighter. He never was a great fighter. Never was good on world level. He dodged a bullet in that James Kirkland fight, a fight that James Kirkland himself was not mentally focused, but that's besides the point.
Belt, right? Against the guy who was considered
a win is a win, right?
Division. A guy who some people title fight at 154 pounds. And after Golovkin...
what about Gabe Rosado? When is he going to earn a shot?
Gabe Rosado was a mandated 154-pound opponent.
Okay, so Gabe Rosado was a mandatory opponent at 154, but yet him going up at 160 to get a shot at Golovkin, even though he never had a 160 fight prior. I think he had one, maybe. But the fact is that him being a mandated fighter at 154 justified him getting a shot at Golovkin more so than Jamal Charlo. Gabe Rosado never won a title at 154, for fucking God's sakes. His best win at 154 was against fucking Kasi Uma, okay? And overhill Kasi Uma. Or Jesus Soto Cross. What? What the fuck? Dude, you are insane, man. Not in a disrespectful way, but come on, man. That's insanely bizarre to say this.
Mandated for a world title fight at 154 pounds.
But he was not mandated at 160, so where are you getting at this?
After Golovkin, tons of other guys that many of these guys who hate Golovkin support fought him, right? Many. Charlo, Quillen, his second big fight on HBO, title fight. Wilder fought, who came up from cruiserweight. Look at all.
Okay, what the fuck does Wilder fighting small men like McCrary have anything to do with the conversation here? Why you keep bringing up Wilder? I don't... Sean, please, stick to the point. This is about Jamal Charlo and Gennady Golovkin.
The fighters many guys fought sit here and act like I praise Golovkin for fighting these opponents, yet...
You just did. You just did.
I won't give Charlo the opportunity to fight Golovkin now, which is what you're trying to do.
But, of course not. You're trying to marginalize that fight. That's what you're doing. Sean, you're doing this in this video right now. You've done it in previous videos. What more do you want me to say?
Never said that.
Yeah, you did.
You never seen me make a video acting as if those opponents you listed were fucking the best fighters ever. Right?
Sean, you're not getting my point. I never said that those fighters were the best. You said that those were the best fighters ever. I never said that. Point to a video where I accuse you for saying that those guys were the best fighters ever. I never said that. The only thing I said is that you legitimized them as great wins for Gennady Golovkin, as very good wins on his resume. That's what you've done, and you're doing it right now. Dude, you making this too easy for me.
And this justifies the fact that he shouldn't have fought Laura or he shouldn't have fought Charlo. No. And I never said Charlo can't get a fight. Like I said, I have no problem with Charlo getting a fight. But the point is, he's not the best option.
No, but he cannot be neglected. Okay, he fought as he's a mandatory, and he's earned his right to get a shot. All right, I never said that he needs to get a shot now, but the fact is that you cannot marginalize him. That's the whole point of this discussion, Sean.
Guys like this guy act as if this was a fight that should happen. This is the only fight that should
I
happen.
never said that. Again, point to a video in a comment where I said that, Sean. You can't, because I never did.
This is the same approach they took with regards to, by saying that, I'm not crapping on the fight, right? Or the winner of Jacobs and fucking Derevchenko. All three of those fighters make way more sense than a Charlo fight.
Derevchenko, okay, you mentioned that. Now you mentioned Derevchenko makes more sense than a Charlo fight. I mean, weren't you guy that was upset that we were asking Gennady Golovkin to get that mandatory out of the way when the IBF had told him to make the commitment, or otherwise he's going to get stripped? You didn't like that idea, but when he got stripped, you were trying to find any possible way you could, any type of talking point you would to justify Golovkin getting stripped. Or, I mean, other word, better yet, justify the point that he shouldn't have fought that guy. Really? Well, newsflash, Sean, he didn't fight him. He had a chance to do it. He was mandated to fight the guy, otherwise he was going to get stripped, and he didn't do it. You know what we call that? When you refuse to fight your mandatory? A duck. D-U-C-K, a duck. And that's exactly what he did. So now you're saying Derevchenko makes more sense than Charlo. What? I mean, come on, come on, man.
Just like now, a Canelo fight makes more sense than a fucking Derevchenko fight.
Okay, now you're saying it.
And you and I both know that. When I say this has nothing to do with being a fanatic. I would say this about every single fighter in boxing today, if they were in the same circle Golovkin is. This has nothing to do with the fact that this is Golovkin. I would say the same thing about anybody.
What has Marco Antonio Rubio done to earn a shot? Curtis Stevens. What have those guys done? What have they?
Curtis Stevens had knocked out.
You didn't answer the question about Marco Antonio Rubio, but I'll give you a shot. Let's talk about Curtis Stevens.
Two opponents fucking out cold prior to him getting a fight with a Golovkin, who was still not even well
really
known. Was still a guy
really
who was a household name in boxing. That's what those guys earned. They were opponents for a guy who was fighting 4 times a year.
First of all, hold up, Sean, wait a minute. So Curtis Stevens was more deserving of a shot at Golovkin than Jamal Charlo, based off the fact that he knocked out 2 previous opponents before he got a shot. Well, Jamal Charlo knocked out 3 of his previous opponents. Jamal Charlo fought and beat better opposition than Curtis Stevens. What do you? He was a champion, for fucking God's sakes. Curtis Stevens was never a champion. Oh my God! But you didn't answer the question about Marco Antonio Rubio, so I'll give you another shot.
Lucky, and they are far younger than Golovkin was when he was fighting these guys at 4 times a year, trying to build his name and build his brand. That's the difference. And by saying
what's that noise in the background you got?
It's a misnomer, because you're acting as if all the fights that he fought that weren't bigger than Charlo justify Charlo being the fight that happens next.
I never said the fight has to happen next. All right, you keep repeating this line that I never said. I never said that.
But it doesn't have to be the fight that happens next. It's not the biggest fight. There are bigger and better.
I never said it was the biggest fight. You see, Sean, I never said that. I said that Jamal Charlo deserves a shot more so than the previous opponents that Golovkin has fought. That's what I said. This is the topic at hand, and yet you're all over the place. You're bringing up other points that makes no fucking sense. That has nothing to do with the question I asked you. You're trying your best to swerve it. You're giving me answers that I have to say they're very laughable and pretty insane. And the fact you're ducking the Marco Antonio Rubio question just now. You didn't quite answer the question about Dominic Wade, but to some degree, yes. But the fact is that, again, you're being very evasive here, and you're having a lot of contradictory patterns in this damn video.
There are options. That's the only thing I ever said. If it's mandated by the sanctioning body that Golovkin needs to fight Charlo next, you won't see me shitting on the fight and acting like he's being, hard done by. No. It is what he has to do, so he'll do it. I have no issue with it. But the point is, I'll find it ironic when dudes like the LDBC guys, who openly have been pushing unification fights over mandatory, all of a sudden push mandatory over unification.
Wait, really, first of all, again, why you keep mentioning LDBC? They have nothing to do with the discussion at hand, Sean. Again, your obsession with the LDBC is very, very, very disturbing. You just can't you just can't help but to mention them every single video response that you do. Like right now, what does the LDBC have to do with the question I asked you? This is an honest boxing conversation.
The hypocrisy that generally comes from those guys, right? It would really highlight it. So in that sense, I don't even mind if it happens, because then, I can shine a light on it and show that these guys are full of shit and not fucking true to their word.
Like you?
And look at example number 1.
Me? Okay.
To earn a shot against Gennady Golovkin opposed to Jamal Charlo. And what I find funny about this is that, you're defending Golovkin's position of taking big money fights now. The fact that he should be not fighting guys for high risk or low rewards.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, you did.
I said there are bigger options available. Obviously, unification fights trump mandatories.
Yeah.
This is just the norm in boxing.
Okay, all right. So are you talking about the Canelo and the Triple G fight as a unification, as the lineal champion versus the alphabet champion, holder champion? Okay, fair enough, fair enough. But let's be honest, the lineal champion does not get mandated to fight anybody. Plain and simple. They can fight whoever they want to fight, and that's Canelo Alvarez. All right. So, I mean, technically it is. I mean, I never said that this, again, you're putting words in my mouth, or I never said this. You're lying. I never said that the Canelo fight that the Charlo fight need to proceed over the Canelo fight. I never said that. I only said, again, that Gennady Golovkin needs to stop wasting time with Canelo Alvarez if he can't sign a deal, because they were going back and forth as negotiations was getting tiring. That's all I said. I said he needs to move on and fight Billy Joe Saunders. I never said that he had to fight Charlo next. I said that he needs to fight Billy Joe Saunders. Then after he fights Billy Joe Saunders, or better yet, I did say if he can't get the Canelo fight, he should have fought Domachenko. Now that he got his belt stripped, what does he do? Go fight Billy Joe Saunders in unification bout. Then once you do that, then go after Domachenko or whoever gets the IBF title. Then you can fight Charlo. That's what I said.
Me saying this is the same as the LDBC and everybody else that preaches the same thing, right? So that is what it is. I'm not saying he shouldn't take the fight if it's mandated. He can take it. I have no problem with the Charlo fight. But the point is...
Really? You don't have no problem with the Charlo fight, but you certainly had a problem with him, with the IBF mandating him to fight the Derevchenko. Why are you're lying again? You're completely flip-flopping here.
I'm talking about dudes who are acting as if Charlo deserves that fight over everybody else.
Well, I never said that. I don't know why you're trying to correlate me into their own their opinions. That's very dishonest of you, Sean.
Guys who are world champions over everybody else who's been...
Okay, fair enough. And you criticize people who are criticizing Golovkin for, not fighting all comers as he said he would do, and he was willing to do while he was making the run.
No, because when you say all comers, Dan, Charlo basically... That's what I'm talking about. None of my...
And he was willing to do while he was making the run.
No, because when you say all comers, Dan, Charlo basically fucking stepped back.
No, we're not talking about all comers. Okay, first of all, the Charlo situation, as you keep referring to, has nothing to do with Gennady Golovkin saying that he's willing to fight all comers in the past. Remember, he and his people, without this campaign, I know you don't like when I bring this up, we'll fight anybody, quote, anybody, from 154 to 175. They didn't care who it was. That's what they said. And I said, oh, great, we got a throwback fighter who's willing to step up and take on the challenge, no matter what weight class they're in. And what did they do? When the heat was on their asses, when these elite fighters were responding to their challenge, he steps back and they were trying to move the goalposts. All right? So he deserved to be criticized for that, and yet you were willing to give him a pass for him to be, being a hypocrite. This is what I was referring to. This had nothing to do with that so-called Charlo statement.
And gave Canelo and Golovkin the opportunity to fight. He did that in an interview.
How do you give him an opportunity? Let me get this straight. When did the WBC mandate the fight? When? How did he give them the opportunity? How did he let that fight go? I didn't recall the WBC mandating that fight. Tell me, where did they mandate that fight? Other than they said that, well, if Gennady Golovkin does not fight, if he can't come to terms with Canelo Alvarez, we will mandate the Charlo fight. That's the only statement we got from the WBC. Other than that, they never mandated that fight. When did he step aside to allow it to go forward? Point to the source.
You can go watch YouTube. He's not a guy who's openly fucking chasing after Golovkin and chasing him like crazy. He was getting more into it with Danny Jacobs than he was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay.
With Canelo.
Well, he did call out Golovkin after he knocked out Centennial Jr. He called him out ferociously. So what are you talking about?
Problem with guys fighting, but you can't fight fucking everybody at once. Just like AJ can't fight everybody fucking at once. You need to pick and choose which fights you're gonna fight in what order. So obviously it makes more sense to fight unification fights before fighting fucking secondary fucking mandatory fights. Right?
Well, really, I mean, why all of a sudden now this is your change of tune? I have to bring this point up because this is actually ties into what you just mentioned there. Now you're saying unification is trump more than mandatories in this situation, but you weren't saying that when Julius Ndonga was mandated to fight Sergey Lipinets for the IBF title, when many of us were pushing for that unification bout between him and Crawford, okay, that undisputed championship fight. You were saying, well, I understand this is the fight you guys want to see, this, that, and the third, but the IBF have their rules, so he's got to fight Lipinets. That's what you said. You put out a video about that, right? But all of a sudden now you're gonna flip the script and say, you know what, unifications, which is the lineal champion versus the alphabet holder champion Gennady Golovkin, means now that trumps over the mandatory. So why all of a sudden now you're flip-flopping again? You're having a double standard. You see, it goes back to my point. People like you have a certain standard. You don't apply certain standards to fighters that you like to opposed to the fighters that you don't like, that you don't really support. You're being a hypocrite, Sean, once again.
I mean, if you didn't have any of these other fights available, then obviously this would be the best option. But it's not the best option. That's the only thing I said. Right? Let's just be fair. Let's be honest, Dan.
You're not being honest, Sean.
Stop trying to spin it into a negative.
What negative? You've been more negative. You've been very negative in this video due to your dishonesty, Sean. And your failure to answer the question straightforward made this video so response to yours very dishonest and very negative. All right, you're all over the place here. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to go and beat this on the drum, but it is what it is.
Helping Golovkin duck Charlo, because that's not the situation.
I never said you did.
I have no problem.
I said you're trying to rationalize a man as if he doesn't deserve the shot. That's all I'm saying. You know.
Problem with Golovkin fighting Charlo. I have no problem with fucking Charlo fighting anybody.
Really?
But if he's gonna sit around and have a bunch of fucking dudes defend his ass while he fucking fights nobody, while other guys like Golovkin fight everybody, the same thing AJ is doing.
Fight everybody. He didn't fight Derevchenko. He ducked that fight. He didn't fight Andre Ward. And he didn't fight Arizon Delar. So what does that tell you? And he didn't fight Gilberto Ramirez, let's not forget about that one, because Top Rank and Ramirez were trying to make that fight as long as they could, and he never pursued it. So, yeah, you can't say that Gennady Golovkin is fighting everybody. That's not totally accurate.
Fighting everybody while Wilder fucking does nothing.
Yeah. Okay, why are you bringing up Deontay Wilder here? He has nothing to do with the conversation. Neither does AJ.
They preach nothing but negativity and hate towards these guys and fanboy their fighter and have nothing but criticism towards these other guys who actually are doing something, right? Consecutively and regularly, where these guys are fighting fucking nothing. Cherry pick fights.
Yeah, so is Golovkin cherry picking fights too. Yeah, let's not forget, he cherry picked that replacement, didn't he not? Vanez Martirosyan? He cherry picked other small men too in his career, so let's not dismiss the fact that Golovkin himself has done some cherry picking in his career. I mean, every fighter does it, but let's not dismiss the fact that he's done it himself.
If these dudes currently are the best fighters in their division, yet they've had every opportunity to prove themselves in their career, yet they've never once stepped up and done it.
Running through his ranks at the middleweight division.
I mean, Wilder finally stepped up. I mean, against Tavern, yes, he did. People were discrediting him. People thought Stavern was going to beat him, and then what did Wilder do to him? Since we're talking about Deontay Wilder, since you want to bring him up, he did do that, and he stepped up against Luis Ortiz recently. And so did Anthony Joshua, since you brought him up too. Stepped up against Vladimir Klitschko, and he stepped up against guys like Takam. He stepped up against Joseph Parker. So, yeah, fair enough.
At that time, right? But the fact is that what I find that a double standard on your part is that you criticize fighters like Hall Froch, Miguel Cotto, Sergio Martinez, Floyd May.
See, it's funny when he does this because I've never criticized these guys.
Yeah, you did.
But he always has the same narrative again and again. I never criticized Froch for not taking the Golovkin fight.
Really?
I never criticized Sergio Martinez or fucking Cotto for not taking the fight. Actually, in videos leading up to the fight, I did the opposite.
Liar, Sean. You made videos saying that they ducked Gennady Golovkin as if they were being negative, in a negative way. You did. You made many videos about that, okay? You want me to point out those videos for you? Okay, let me see. All right. Okay, Hatman anti-Triple G, 9 months ago, okay? What else are the videos again? Triple G ducking, all right? What else you got here? Wow. Triple G pound for pound, why not? Oh, really? Triple G is king, don't get mad. 1 year ago. Spinning the truth, Triple G hate. Ego trolling Triple G. In many of these videos, you keep mentioning the fact that these guys had ducked Gennady Golovkin. That's what you did. You did. All right, so why are you sitting here trying to say you never criticized him? In fact, you keep on harping on the fact that Miguel Cotto ducked the fight, this, that, and the third, without mentioning the fact that Gennady Golovkin was a guy who kept taking step-aside money from Triple G. From Miguel Cotto. All right, so let's keep it fair here. Let's be truthful here.
I specifically said I understand why Sergio Martinez is fighting Cotto next. It's a bigger money fight. It makes more sense. Hopefully, Golovkin can get next. And then when it went, oh, I understand why Cotto was fighting Canelo Alvarez next. It's a bigger opportunity. Hopefully, Golovkin can get next. And then when it was Golovkin's turn to get next, what did fucking Canelo do? He fucking dropped the belt into the garbage instead of fucking taking the fight.
Yep, so did Golovkin. He fucking got stripped without fighting his mandatory when he was mandated to do without Sergey Derevchenko. Really? So let's criticize Canelo for dropping his belt, but not criticize Golovkin for getting stripped voluntarily because he refused to fight his mandatory. Double standard once again, Sean. Double standard.
Then I was critical because Golovkin was in line, was mandated, did everything he needed to.
Yeah, so did Derevchenko. But I know the difference. Golovkin's actually had more title wins, has a lot of title wins, and Derevchenko was never a champion. But that's besides the point. The point is that he actually did what he had to do to get his mandatory shot, and he had to wait for a shot for a long time. The IBF, which you neglect to mention, has given him 2 exemptions already. 2 exemptions to pursue that Canelo fight. And when that PED situation came about, the IBF said, you know what? We cannot give you any more exemptions. You got to fight your mandatory. It's long overdue. It's been 2 years. You got to fight him. What did he do? Instead of fighting him, he got stripped. Refused to commit. You didn't put out a video criticizing him for doing that. Wow.
Get the fight, and once he was in it, the dude ran away from him.
Yeah, he ran away from Derevchenko. Golovkin ran away from Derevchenko. Yeah, let's be fair here.
Came back once things were more to his liking. But the point was, I never criticized those guys. Never. But you're going to act like I do because that's what you do.
You did.
You say things that aren't true because the people who listen to your video.
Well, you did say that Triple G is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. You did that, I put up that statement in the beginning of this video, and you did make another title of that in a video you did 9 months ago.
Are going to obviously assume what you're saying is factual.
It is.
Even when it's not. And you say it consistently, which makes it seem like it must be true.
It is true.
You show me one video where I said that.
I named him.
One.
I named him. Go back and look at him. I named him.
I never said it.
I named him.
Mayweather. Those guys. Those small guys, by the way.
And which Mayweather fight? When Mayweather fought Berto instead of fighting Thurman or Lara, I pointed that out, but not so much because I was hating or criticizing Floyd, but more towards Floyd's fanboys, who consistently shit over everything Manny Pacquiao did in his career.
All right, what does Manny Pacquiao have anything to do with the conversation? Again, you said you never criticized Floyd for ducking Triple G. Are you sure about that? Well, I have to say one thing, Sean. That little thumbnail you did right there of Floyd. And by the way, you spelled his name incorrectly. It's not Floyd, it's Floyd. All right. And you put his face up there with a chicken with a KFC logo attached to that. You know that's a very racial derogatory thing for you to do. And yet here you are harping around talking about I'm not a racist, I'm not a race baiter. Yet you didn't apologize for that thumbnail. I wonder why. But anyhow, that's besides the point. In that particular video that you made about Floyd ducking Triple G, you went on a rant talking about he ain't doing what Sugar Ray Leonard did when he moved up to fight Marvin Hagler. He ain't do what these other guys like Robinson did when he moved up to fight LaMotta, this, that, and the third. Well, actually, I don't think he said nothing about Sugar Ray Robinson moving up to fight LaMotta. But the fact is that that's what you did. All right, you criticize him for not taking, not fighting Triple G in that particular video. Anyway, let's continue.
And still do today. That's the only reason I haven't pointed out the Berto fight. Because really, I could care less.
What about the Berto fight?
If he fought fucking Laura next. I could care less if he fought Thurman next.
You're lying, because in that video you did care when you said that he was ducking Triple G.
I could care less if he fought Berto next. I didn't like Floyd. So watching his fights,
neither did I.
Really like his fights. I watched them because I'm a boxing fan.
Yep.
But stylistically, I never liked watching his fights. So I didn't crap on him because he didn't fight those guys, but he fought Berto. But I did point out the irony in the situation, considering...
You're losing your point. You're all over the place. You totally lost the point, Sean. Where are you going with this?
The guys who fanboyed for him criticized Manny for everything he did. Yet here is this guy doing this when he had an opportunity to unify titles, right?
Actually, since you're on the subject, Floyd did unify titles. He unified the welterweight division. He beat the man, which you admire so much, Manny Pacquiao, to become a unified champion, 3-belt holder, and he unified the middleweight division. Well, actually, he took the unified titles away from Canelo Alvarez. I mean, the light middleweight titles, that is. So he was a unified champion in 2 different divisions. But guess who wasn't a unified champion? Ding, ding, ding. Manny Pacquiao. Never won a unified title. He lost 3 unification bouts in his career, and he's fought in 3 of them, I should say, and has failed in all 3 of them. Plain and simple.
But I didn't make videos hating on these guys for doing that. I never did.
Hmm.
You know, my videos are there. You can go see if you can find them.
I did find one. I did.
What's that for call, right? But those guys who did not want to fight Gennady Golovkin, or maybe I'm going to throw Peter Quillen in there. You criticize those guys.
I did criticize Quillen because he was a middleweight champion who said that he would beat Golovkin and called Golovkin out. People were saying that he was the best fighter at middleweight, yet he priced himself out by asking for $10 million to fight Golovkin when he wasn't even worth that much money. It's not like he was a Sergio Martinez, a Cotto, a Canelo, or a Carl Froch. He wasn't. Right.
I mean, okay, fair enough. But the fact is, didn't Gennady Golovkin do the same thing to Canelo Alvarez? He priced himself out at one point. Then eventually he came to the table in the first negotiation of the first fight. He came to terms and got something that was reasonable. So, hey, yes, I understand where you're coming from. But the fact is that, yeah, every fighter's going to price themselves out until they can get what they want. At least Gennady Golovkin's team could have done. I don't recall them approaching Peter Quillen's team to make that fight happen. Did they approach him to make that fight? I don't recall that. If they did, please point it out to me. I may have missed that. Just being honest, it's me being human.
Yeah. I criticized him, especially when he was mandated to take a fight. And what did he do? He dropped his belt instead, right? So, yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah, but he was not mandated to fight Gennady Golovkin, so...
He didn't want to take big fights.
Again, he was not mandated to fight Gennady Golovkin. I guess you're talking about Matt Korobov. But, yeah, I criticized Quillen for that, so we know that.
But as far as those other guys, I never criticized them for doing that.
Yeah, you did. You criticized Floyd. I just showed you.
For not fighting Golovkin for financial reasons. And for that's the same exact reason why they didn't want to fight him, because they viewed him as a very, very high risk and a low reward.
Dan, doesn't it get old for you to consistently say the same thing?
It is. It's the truth.
It's not even factual or accurate.
It is accurate. He is a low risk.
Consistently say.
He was a low risk. What are you talking about? Gennady Golovkin was a very low risk at the time. That's why they didn't want to risk him. They didn't want to risk fighting him at that point. They wanted something they were more lucrative. They wanted to get in a ring with a guy like that. Okay, if you want to get a guy in the ring with you with a dangerous opponent as a promoter, you got to overpay guys. All right, plain and simple. Yeah. You got to overpay guys. Plain and simple, man. That's what Tyson's team had to do with Bill Caden and Jimmy Jacobs. That's what they did. Golovkin did not do the Golovkin did not do the same with Golovkin at that time. That was a promotional mistake they did. But yes, they learned down the road. But the fact is, you got to overpay opponents, and that's exactly what they did not do. So that's why he was deemed as a low risk. I'm sorry, a low reward and high risk. That's a fact.
That I crapped on those fighters for this. Yet I have multiple videos out there doing the opposite. Actually, understanding where they're coming from. Right? That's why when I defend Golovkin, I don't feel like I'm being a hypocrite, because when those other people did the same thing,
You are a hypocrite.
I totally understood. I understand why those guys are doing it. I understand the financial incentive behind these fights. And
Okay.
why would you fight a guy like Golovkin when you could fight Cotto for way more money?
Oh, so there you go. Now you've admitted that Gennady Golovkin was a low risk by that statement. Oh, okay. So now you are going to give a pass. So I'm confused, man. Are you going to give those guys a pass for not fighting Gennady Golovkin, or you're not? Because it seems like you're mixed between what you really believe here in this video. I really believe that. I'm very confused of what's going on here.
Why would Golovkin fight Charlo when he could fight fucking Canelo for way more money? It's the same situation. I haven't changed. I'm consistent.
No, you're not.
I'm consistent across the board.
Liar.
Right?
Lying.
Nothing about me has contradicted itself.
You did in this video.
Act as if I said something I never said.
Well, you did.
But I've never said that.
Yeah, the irony.
Never. And I challenge you to find any video where I did that.
Well, I did. I showed you the videos.
If you do find anything of me even saying anything close to that, I bet there's fucking 4 or 5 videos of me basically saying the opposite.
Oh, the irony, Sean. The irony.
Well, he was ducked. Nobody wanted to fight him. Right? So you can praise Ortiz because his resume is terrible because he was ducked and nobody wanted to fight him.
What is Luis Ortiz? All right, Sean. I don't need to play any more of this. This makes no freaking sense, okay? I don't know what are you talking about, okay? In fact, let me go back here because there's a previous comment you made about the middleweights. Welterweights fight middleweights. All right, hold on.
What's his motivation to fight this guy? Just because this guy tried to embarrass him at a press conference? The point is, Miguel, he's big name, big money fights, but not being the best option of it.
To earn a shot at Gennady Golovkin.
Shot with Golovkin, even though it's against the guy that Golovkin could never have fought because he would have been fucking attacked. It comes towards the mandatory. It's just something you have to do. Sometimes, occasionally, your mandatory is a legitimate opponent. Like,
hold on, I'm finding it.
Do that. So it's easy now to be critical of Dominic Wade, even though.
All right, we're going back here.
A top 5 middleweight, right, at that time. A guy that people were thinking was one of the best. Nothing to do with Golovkin. It had to do with Eubank's own team. World champion welterweight. Right? But we know that wasn't the opponent they were chasing. But they made the best out of a bad situation. And Golovkin also doesn't get any credit for that either. Even though you and I both know it's not strange to see welterweight world champions move up to fight middleweight world champions through all-time greats haven't done. Whether you're talking about Bernard Hopkins, Marvin Hagler, Mong Zone, Sugar Ray Robinson.
What? Say what? Say what? Let's take that back again.
With his fighters, and that was Kell Brook, an undefeated world champion welterweight. Right? But we know that wasn't the opponent they were chasing. But they made the best out of a bad situation. And Golovkin also doesn't get any credit for that either.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you and I both know it's not strange to see welterweight world champions move up to fight middleweight world champions through the history of boxing. It's normal. So Golovkin didn't do anything all-time greats haven't done. Whether you're talking about Bernard Hopkins, Marvin Hagler, Mong Zone, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Okay, this is where your ignorance of Sugar Ray Robinson is displayed once again. Okay, Sugar Ray Robinson was not a natural middleweight. Okay, he was a naturally small guy, which means that he was a welterweight for the most part. Was a natural welterweight. Okay, and throughout his time, he is considered universally recognized the greatest welterweight of all time. Okay. Oh my goodness, are you serious? Oh, you got to be kidding me. Or even though he did start his career, I believe he started his career at lightweight. So, yeah. Even though he started his career at lightweight, but the fact is that he was not a natural middleweight. So once again, bro, you got to do some research on Sugar Ray Robinson. All right, that's all I got to say is, but Sean, my advice to you, man, stop having these double standards and stay to the point, okay? Once again, you display your hypocrisy and the double standards in your video. But anyways, it was quite fun. I apologize to you guys. I had to make this a long hangout style video, but it had to be done. I wanted to address every single point like I usually do. I don't care. But it is what it is. I'm out, y'all. Peace.